Hello and welcome to Scientifically. Today I want to talk about double helix energy theory. That's it. That's all the rules I wrote, and these are from October the 23rd 2016, 2 years after I first was allowed to open the small scroll given to me by the Spirit, in which visions poured out of my head for 3 weeks day and night. Didn't sleep for 9 days. People don't seem to believe that. Well, if God's involved, anything can happen. I was so energized up that I couldn't go to sleep. In fact, I would lay on my bed watching a night light, which had a tiny little red light, and would watch photons of light spin into my eyes. Now you can all sit there and say, that never happened. Whatever. It did happen. And on day 9, I decided I should go to the doctor because I was probably going mad. And then a voice said, write it all down. And so, for the next 5 years, I wrote that. I just kept writing down what had been ploughed into my head like a mega download of images, just one after the other, one after the other. And anything I looked at would tell me how it was made on the insides and out. Today though, I had a viewer tell me that energy and matter can be traded in places. And I said no on all my videos, as God showed me, energy and matter are separate. So he didn't like that, and he proceeded to tell me all about his physics teacher, who disagreed with it, and what he'd been taught, that matter is turned into energy in a nuclear explosion. So the number one rule on here is energy and matter are separate. Right there. The very first thing. Energy and matter are separate, and I can explain it in a way that actually proves it. Because he said in a nuclear explosion, all the matter is turned into energy. And this is the dynamic force that destroys things. It might seem like that. There's no such thing as a nuclear explosion. There's no such thing as any kind of explosion. Every single bomb flame is an electromagnetic expansion caused by electricity. I mean, simple one, flick a lighter in a room full of gas and that gas will expand, because electricity through matter creates an electromagnetic field and it expands. So let's move that up to nuclear bombs. And the easiest way to disprove nuclear bombs and radiation is, if matter turns into energy, why is there radiation? You see, only matter gives off radiation. So if you get radiation poisoning, it's because you are covered in radioactive material. So what a nuclear bomb does, it's been so enriched. They have various processes to do that. Just go look up plutonium enrichment and you'll find out. And then once they pack it into this bomb, after slamming the snot out of it to create a chain reaction, they then fire electricity through it. And electricity through matter creates magnetism, an electromagnetic field. And it just so happens that all these nuclear materials happen to have very large magnetic fields. So when you take 1 kilogram of plutonium and you fire electricity through it, it will give you a 2-mile electromagnetic expulsion bubble. So there was no splitting of any nucleus or anything like that. You put electricity through matter and created a several 100-meter to 2-mile wide EMP expansion zone. And every single atom, as I said in my last video, was placed into an electromagnetic collisionless wave lattice, which is a magnetic field. And if anybody's looked at a magnetic field underneath a ferrocell, and I've got 50 to 100 videos on that if you have a look through my channel, the magnetic field is composed of Fibonacci spirals, because Fibonacci spirals are how energy increases or decreases because of the magnetic field we live in, which is curved. And so things form circles, and the increase and decrease via the Fibonacci spiral. So when you blow 1 kilogram of plutonium over 400 square miles, you get radiation poisoning. But that radiation disappears. I mean, they sat there about Chernobyl and said for 50,000 years its half-life is, and it'll always be poisonous. Yeah, well, now there's trees growing and animals and everything normal. And the radiation has disappeared because it was particles. There's no such thing as radiation without matter. And the guy that was telling me all about his matter to energy theory, he then said, no, it is radiation, because if you put your hand over some plutonium, you'll get radiation burns. And I said, but you just told me that a nuclear explosion turns matter into energy. So if there's radiation afterwards, it's because there's plutonium there. It didn't get turned into energy. Otherwise there wouldn't be any radiation. Radiation comes from objects that are heated. It's that simple. Only matter gives off radiation. Radiation doesn't float around. Same as magnetism cannot be taken out of a magnet and held in your hand. It's impossible. So you can't take the radiation from the matter and still have radiation. Because the radiation is only there because of the matter. So, energy and matter are separate, and when you put electricity through plutonium, it will give you an expansion bomb, an EM expansion bomb. And it will separate every atom into a collisionless wave. And that expands, and because it's in an atmosphere with pressure, the pressure gradient forces air outwards. Thanks very much. My name is Lee. I follow the Christ, and all the things from the small scroll are written down on all my videos. So I'll hold that up for you there, because I only gave you the top line. If anybody wants to read that, then you just freeze it right there, and you'll be able to see the rules of energy. Or I could just read them out. All right, I wrote this in 2016, 2 years after, and it was because I'd realised I should start writing it down, because it's all starting to be very practical and predictable. So, double helix energy theory given by God of the Bible in visions in 2014 for 3 weeks. Energy and matter are separate. Energy, which is how I have to describe it. You see, if God is an energetic being, he isn't just an electrical magnetic being. Now, a brother, subscriber, said, why are you making God so cheap? I wasn't making him cheap. Electricity and magnetism, from these things, all radiation stems. Light, magnetism, gamma rays, theta rays, delta waves, radio waves, television waves, which are radio waves. Any radiation comes from electricity and magnetism. So, God isn't just, a lightning bolt that he turns into a person. He has feelings, he has empathy, he has mercy, he has love, and he's got anger. And we're going to see the anger soon. It's already starting. So, God is a lot more than just electricity and magnetism. It talks of his flowing robes that he has, and his trains go out behind him. And he's got so many robes on. It's crazy. These are all wave formations of energy that are emanating from him, because he's an electromagnetic being. That's why there's curly hair and it's all in spirals. That's why you see all mythology with all the tight beards with Fibonacci spirals everywhere. And throughout mythology, history, it's fact. The spiral of life is true. and it's coming from God, who is an energy being who gives life to lifeless matter, because he is an energetic waveform, which is why he has trains that go on and fill the temple. This is the energy flooding out of him. But energy, as I have to describe it to everybody, is electricity and electromagnetism and magnetism, because you know what those are. And from these, everything else stems. So my apologies, I wasn't trying to put God in a box. I'm just trying to make a vision into something you can understand. Because even the prophet said we only see in part. And to translate a picture takes more than 1,000 words. So it's very difficult to tell you about things I've seen that you've never seen. I've seen the inside of things. I've seen the inside of an electron. You can all say, no, you haven't. Well, fair enough. It's on one of these papers and it's on one of my videos. So, energy is electricity and magnetism, electromagnetism. Energy travels in pulses and interlinks itself with the previous and preceding wave. So it's like that. It's a set of waves. So any pulse coming out of anything radiation-wise does that. And it throws one out. Energy attracts matter, matter covers energy, and energy moves matter. Energy travels from a double helix vortex to a rollover halo wave. Energy pulses positive and negative, forming a double helix vortex up or down. And you know, that's a vortex. My arm is a vortex, and these 5 appendages are vortices. You have to excuse me, I should put my glasses on really. Where did I put my glasses? There. That's why I'm struggling to read this. Okay. Energy has 2 leaders, positive and negative. And as I said in a previous video of God talking about 2 rays coming from his hand. And from my very first vision, I said there was 2 rays that did that. It turned out to be Birkeland currents. And Birkeland currents are 2 leaders, positive and negative, which connect in a double helix and have 2 horns at your very basic. So energy has 2 leaders, positive and negative. Energy has 2 rotations, clockwise and counterclockwise. Do you see how suddenly everything is becoming very easy to understand if there's only positive and negative and clockwise and counterclockwise when you're building something, like a tree or a plant? Energy has 2 rotations, clockwise and counterclockwise. Both travel together as one, either clockwise or counterclockwise. Energy travels as a rolled up scroll, a wave. The vortex is the electricity, and the rollover halo wave is magnetism. So it goes from vortex to wave, which this is a wave too, but because of its angle, electricity is vertical, magnetism is horizontal. Magnetism runs across the land. Magnetism doesn't go upwards. It comes out and goes sideways like that. Whereas electricity is what's spacing the magnetism between levels of the atmosphere, which is why when you take a sophisticated voltmeter, you can stick it in the atmosphere like that, and as you go higher, the volts go up because it's electrical going up, but it's magnetism going that way, which is why the magnetic field doesn't change. Both together through matter cause a cascade effect of electricity through matter causes magnetism, and magnetism through matter causes electricity, causing a Fibonacci pine cone standing wave lattice structure to form atoms. So did you see what I said? This links to the video yesterday when I said I'd already said what a collisionless wave was, but when they said it, this is a plasmatic collisionless wave, I just thought, that's brilliant. How I wrote it was causing a Fibonacci pine cone standing wave lattice structure to form of atoms. I've actually just got a dash and then atoms. So what I've said is there is a lattice structure separating all atoms. So yeah, it's in the middle right there somewhere. Where's it go? Right there above my finger. So it's all blurry. So I didn't lie yesterday. I knew that energy and the electromagnetic field, at every cross point, there is an atom. There has to be to pass on the field. Double helix energy flow is fractal because it is electrical, which means all aspects of reality may be viewed at other observable levels of reality. Like a black hole supposed to have a vortex. Flush your toilet, you got a vortex, and the curve is a Fibonacci spiral, as they all are, because that's how energy increases or decreases its energy flow, via a Fibonacci spiral, either it decreasing or increasing. The universe is created from ones and zeros, and it is a vortex, and you have a wave, but the wave can turn into a ring sphere, either this way or this way. I call it a halo wave, because if a vortex, which has two leaders, meets a barrier, an energy or matter barrier greater than itself, it will roll over into a halo wave. It will come around, it will start as a wave, then it will turn into a halo wave, and then it will become a halo sphere, and that closes. And to show you that, if you take one of those child's toys that you blow bubbles out of, how does that work? What's filling the soapy liquid to create a bubble and then close it? Well, you've got two vortices, double helix. They combine into one vortex, a double helix. It is expelled out of your mouth as two separate rotations, clockwise and counterclockwise, up, mixed together, blown out, double helix vortex, through a hole with a piece of material on it. This will bend, and because your breath just met a matter barrier greater than itself, it separates around the bubble and comes around to the front, and because it's spinning, it seals itself and the bubble floats out. Double helix energy flow, except using breath. And when God talks about his breath, he's an energetic being, so it's not air coming out of his mouth. It's actual energy, which is information. And if it meets matter, it will turn that matter into whatever God just said. Because he didn't say dog, except maybe he did. But the underlying information that must be contained in the word dog didn't come out of his mouth, dog. It didn't. High frequency, low frequency, all kinds of vibrational sounds, and energy came out that would then create something. So the universe is created from ones and zeros. One is the vortex, and then two is a wave, which turns into a rollover halo wave, which can become a ring or a sphere, because an Ouroboros ring wave is when, it's not when you blow a smoke ring out your lungs. It kind of is, but it's not. If you take a cigarette and dab it like that, one pulse of smoke will come out, and it will have two leaders at the bottom, and then it will form a ring, which, strangely enough, is one of the signs of God, which is like a two lines with a S almost on the top. And that's because this is energy travel, and it's the same as smoke travel, two leaders up, and then it has a double helix ring on it. So we're seeing God's name from the side, when in fact, it's a vortex to an Ouroboros ring. Double helix energy flow of vortex to wave, and then halo wave, and then ring wave, and then sphere is fractal and predictable because it's electrical. So you can look at anything and think, how's that plant grown? Oh, there's a vortex, and then there's two leaves, which are the waves, and then there's a vortex, and then there's two leaves. This is called a heteromac formation, and it happens with plasma, and it's called a plasma instability, a heteromac formation. And basically, I use the Fibonacci sequence, the Lorentz effect, and one electrical waveform to show how all things work, because that's double helix energy flow. All right, well, that's that one piece of paper read out. That was quite a bit. Wow, 20 minutes. Now would be a good time to subscribe if you're enjoying what I'm doing. Hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, because the algorithms hate people like me talking about God, and telling you things that are completely contrary to what nonsense you've been taught, like being told that energy turns into matter, and yet when you blow a kilogram of plutonium over 400 square miles, everybody gets radiation poisoning because only matter gives off radiation. So it's not turning it into energy. And don't let anybody fool you. All right, thanks very much. My name is Lee. I follow the Christ, and I'm telling you everything he showed me in visions. Thanks a lot. Bye.